It's your girl Felicia. Welcome to the channel. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Join the family. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out. Not right now, but on your way out after you watch the video, right? And if you've been here before, welcome back. We love Mondays. On this channel, we love Mondays. Why? Because Monday signals a new start. You know, a lot of times people begrudge Mondays because they're like, I got to go to work. But guess what? Not only do we love Mondays, we love the fact that we can begin again. And that's what this video is about. This video is about the people, or for the people, who are breaking out of that box, who are breaking out of the matrix, who know for a fact that box is not big enough to hold you because you have outgrown it. You have outgrown that box. You've actually outgrown a whole lot of stuff. And it's time to face that because it's November. It's actually almost the middle of November. November is the second month of the last quarter of the year, right? And in this last quarter, what do? We finish strong. We are finishing strong. Not only are we finishing strong, we are finishing by breaking out of the boxes that can no longer hold us. And one of the ways that we're doing this, and we talked about it before, we've talked about the fact that we're on a totally different frequency. We're on a totally different vibe, totally different level, moving different, doing business in a different way. We're loving different. We're working different. We're curating relationships differently. We are now looking at our lives almost as a business. We are becoming the CEOs of our own lives. Not just, having, a side hustle here or a side hustle there. We're actually leveling up our entire lives because that's what we were destined to do. Now, if you've been wondering what your chosen path is, how you're going to get to it, what moves you're going to make, like I said, this video is absolutely for you. You know why? Because you've been feeling for a while that it was time to do something different, time to move different, time to be different. And this right here, this month right here, November, again, November is the second month of the last quarter. This is where we pull up and we finish strong. We finish healthy, wealthy, and wise. We're not taking any shorts anymore. That box you've been in, you've outgrown that box. You've outgrown that box, and you cannot be afraid anymore to step outside of it. I was looking at some TikToks the other day, and they showed this, imaginary situation where somebody, this particular animal is inside this square, right? And every time it would get to the edge of the square, there would be like this electronic thing that would almost like tase it, right? And it got so used to that feeling of being tased when it would get to the edge of that square that eventually it stopped even going to the edge of the square. And then when that imaginary square was removed, hi, Melanie. When that imaginary square was removed, it still would not move past those boundaries because it had gotten so used to being tased when it got to the edge that psychologically, it just got, that particular animal psychologically became trained to staying inside that box. So for you, there have been some moments where you have gotten to the edge, where you have gotten close to breaking out of that square, and it felt a little uncomfortable. You know, it felt like a little tasing situation, felt like a little bruising of sorts, right? And maybe along the way, maybe along the way, you've trained your mind into thinking that it's too hard to go beyond this square. It's too painful to go beyond this square. I don't know what's on the other side, so I'm not even going to try it, because as soon as I step outside of this box, who knows what's waiting for me to trip me up. Maybe that's what you've been thinking. However, that type of thinking keeps you from realizing that that square is no longer there. That box is no longer there. That boundary is no longer there. You are able to break free of the matrix. You just have to allow your mind to believe that regardless of what type of pain or, situations you may have faced in trying to break out of it in the past, you've got to realize that those days are gone. You're stronger now. You're stronger now. You've learned more lessons. Not only have you learned more lessons, you know how to put those lessons into action now, so that when you do step outside of that box, if there is a little opposition or a little pain, or a little fumble here or there, now you know that you have the ability to recover, because you have all of that knowledge, information, and experience stored up. And now you can use it for your progress and for your good. Everything that has happened prior to now is for your good. All of that has happened in the past is for right now. It's for right now. Right now, the ultimate level up. And that's what's about to happen to you. You're about to walk into the ultimate level up situation. There's no more looking backwards. That box is not able to hold you. It's not big enough. You've outgrown it. You've moved into a whole new vibe, a whole new frequency. Now, here's what gets real sticky. Everybody's not going to understand it. Everybody's not going to understand it. Everybody's not going to be for it. Everybody's not going to jump on board. Everybody's not going to be your cheerleader. As a matter of fact, there are some people that are going to take you moving outside of the box and take your level up situation. They might take it personally. They may, in fact, take it personally. But you know what's beautiful about that? What's beautiful about that is the people who do not congratulate you and get on board with you leveling up, that just shows you who's not going, because everybody can't go. Everybody can't go. So if that's what you are afraid of, if that's what's stopping you from stepping outside of the box that you're in, you might as well take a huge leap and throw yourself across the finish line. You know how football players, they throw themselves across the finish line? You know what I mean? Because they've got just enough momentum, maybe not to run anymore, but to throw themselves across the finish line with that ball. And yes, it is absolutely possible to downgrade in order to level up, because sometimes you might be carrying too much weight. Like when you're going through the airport and they say, okay, you got a free bag, you got a free check bag, you've got a free carry-on and a free personal item, but then you get there up to the ticket counter to weigh your bags and they're too heavy. Now you got to take some stuff out. Yeah. Sometimes you've got to remove some items in order to get to your next destination. Sometimes you got to leave some stuff behind. You've got to start, like you said, and I wouldn't even call it a downgrade. I would just call it trimming the fat. Okay? a lot of times you've got to trim the fat if you want to get to that next level. Because again, everything can't go. Everything can't go, especially things that you've been holding on to that no longer serve you. And yes, we do. We get in that mood where we want to just throw it all, just throw the whole thing away. Just throw it all away and start all over. In some cases we can. It just depends on the situation. But what we can start doing is trimming the fat. We can trim the fat by whether it's minimizing how oversaturated our schedule is, because a lot of times people suffer from FOMO, fear of missing out. And that's keeping us stuck, because if you feel like you've got to be everywhere that somebody asks you to be, how can you be present for yourself? How can you be present for yourself if you're too busy showing up for everything and everybody and going everywhere that everyone wants you to be? And then by the time you get home at the end of the night, not only are you exhausted, all of your energy has been sapped away. So how do you work on you? How do you tap into your dreams? So one of the ways that's going to help you fly is to get over that FOMO, that fear of missing out. Because in actuality, you're not missing out. All you're doing is participating in somebody else's timeline. You got to break free of everybody else's timeline and what everybody expects from you. Because, baby, let me tell you something. Once you break free of everybody's timeline, you will find out that they just keep on trucking. They find somebody else to stick in that place, or they just keep it moving anyway. So it's time to invest in yourself. It's time to invest in your own timeline. Where is it that you want to go? What is it that you want to see out of your life? What is it that you want your January to look like? Let's go a step further. It's November of 2025. Do you really want to be in the same place November 2026? Because if you don't want to be in the same place November 2026, you got to start right now, November 2025. Not waiting till January. You've got to start now, because a made-up mind is going to change everything. And we talk about that a lot too, because the body follows the mind. It's about changing our mindset, changing our perspective, and moving forward with intention. Real intention. We talked about how getting over FOMO is going to help you fly, baby, fly. Moving with intention is really going to help you fly. Intentional about your spiritual walk, being intentional about your professional walk, being intentional when it comes to your relationships. Now, being intentional doesn't mean necessarily being transactional, because there are a lot of people out here who have strictly transactional relationships. And that's okay if that's what you know that you're doing. And you know that this is a transactional relationship. That's it. We're in this to network with each other, and that's it, But what we don't want to do is bring those transactional relationships so deep into our inner circle that we become disappointed later when we realize that those are not true blue relationships. They were strictly transactional. So you have to be intentional about all of that. Intentional about your relationships, who you're dealing with, how you're dealing with them, what you deal with them with. And then the third thing that I would say that's going to help you fly: start moving in silence. Stop talking so much about what your plans are. Now, You've probably heard people say move in silence before, and there's a misconception about why moving in silence is important. You know, a lot of times people will say moving in silence is important because you don't want everybody to know what you got going on. You don't want people to take your ideas and run with them. You don't want people to downgrade and downplay and chit chat and all of that. That may be part of it, but psychologically, when you talk about all of the things that you plan on doing and you just run your mouth about what's going to happen and how you're going to do it and what you're going to do, when you do a lot of talking about it, your brain, and this is proven through research. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. It is proven through research that when you incessantly talk about the things that you're going to do and your plans and stuff like that, your brain does not know the difference between you actually doing it right now and the fact that you're talking about it, because talking about it evokes that emotion. It evokes that dopamine and everything in the brain, and the brain begins to feel like you've actually already done it. So the satisfaction of talking about it will trick you into feeling like you've done it. And then if you're someone who procrastinates, you don't actually go back and do it. You don't finish the mission out because now you have been satiated, you've been satisfied, and you're full and fulfilled with that dopamine that you got from talking about it. Because again, your brain doesn't know if you're actually doing it or you're just talking about it, because thinking and talking about it evokes the same thing as doing it. So instead of talking about it, put that action in place. Start journaling it out, come up with a plan, start working on that book, get that domain, use ChatGPT to help you develop a plan for whatever it is. There is nothing new under the sun, right? Nothing new under the sun. And all ChatGPT is a collection of ideas over time. Because what has happened is ChatGPT has been able to mimic our thoughts and our brains because you have people constantly putting data into it. And because people are constantly putting data into it, you're able to basically go into ChatGPT and data mine what you need to make your idea come to fruition. So we've got to get smarter about this thing. It's time to fly, baby, fly. It's time to break free of the matrix. Those of you who hate Mondays, there's a reason you hate Mondays, because you're dreading going to that job. You're dreading starting a new week. You're dreading dealing with the bill collectors. You're dreading dealing with the people on your job. You're dreading dealing with the same old all the time. Once you change that, what is the fear of Monday? Once you change all that, Monday just becomes another day. It becomes another day for you to live your dreams. So yes, we've got to get past that FOMO, that fear of missing out. We've got to start walking with intention. And we've got to start working on the plan, putting action in place, moving in silence, and stop with all of the lip service, because that is keeping you from flying. Those are 3 things that are keeping you from flying. There may be others, but once you realize that you've outgrown that box, that, a little bit of that remedies itself. Because once you realize you've outgrown the box, what is the fear of missing out? What are you missing out on? You know that you're not missing out on anything because you know that you have moved into a totally different timeline. You've moved into a totally different frequency. You're on a totally different vibe. So you know that you are moving different. So there is no fear of missing out, right? Once you realize that you have outgrown that box, moving with intention becomes a little bit easier, because now you know that you have to intentionally step higher, move higher, think higher, vibe higher, do higher, you know? And then lastly, when you realize that that box no longer fits you, it can't hold you, and it's time to fly, you're done. You're done with the lip service. You're done telling everybody about the book that you should have wrote 3 or 4 years ago. You're done telling everybody about the music that you should have recorded 3 and 4 and 5 years ago. You're done talking about the project that you've been talking about for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years. You're ready to put action in place. And now you are actually about that action. When it's time for you to fly and you've outgrown that box, you are absolutely about that action. So I'm excited for everything that's coming up. It's time to fly, baby, fly. Make sure you subscribe on your way out for more motivation, for more insight on reimagining your life at any age and at any stage. It doesn't matter if you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you're leveling up 60s or 70s. Hit that subscribe button, because your girl is going to bring it to you. All right? I love you guys. It's your girl, Felicia. Time for me to go to work. And until the next video, I love you. Have an amazing day. All right?